Hello fellas, fictional boy here. As you have seen in the title and the thumbnail, what if Itachi was in DXD universe? Before I start, please support for more videos like this and subscribe my channel and like this video. And with no further ado, let us begin chapter 1. Itachi. Sitri, I will love you always. Itachi gave his younger brother Sasuke his final words before his soul parted with his Edo Tensei body. He could feel the calmness washing over him, his soul getting set free and cleansed in purity, having lived a life of sacrifice and pain. Itachi was glad that he could finally rest. In the end, he never got to realize a dream he has had since the Third Shinobi War, to become the strongest ninja and put an end to all conflict. He would trust the future of Konoha and Sasuke to the one he had passed his will and Shirsue's will to. Good luck, Naruto, Itachi thought with a smile as his soul vanished from the world of the living. The next moment Itachi opened his eyes, all he could see was clouds and the blue sky. He stood up and walked on the clouds. He was still in his Edo Tensei cloak. He looked around to see if he could find his mother and father, Shirsue, Izumi, anyone from his clan that he had brutally slaughtered. Itachi walked through the clouds looking around to see if he could spot anyone. Then suddenly the clouds turned black and the air around him felt cold. He looked a little surprised that he could feel cold despite being dead. Then he spotted someone in a dark torn hooded black cloak whom he could not see the face as it was not visible. The being slowly raised his head. "Welcome, young Uchiha. I have been expecting you," the being said in a rough cold voice that sent shivers down Itachi's spine. "Excuse me, but where is this place? And who are you?" Itachi questioned, being on his guard in case he needed to fight this being. "Me? I don't really have a name. I never have and I never will. We are in a place between the world of the living and the realm of the dead. You are one of the few chosen to be reincarnated and be given a second chance, and my job is to send you there and grant you one wish." The being replied and raised its hand with one bony finger pointing up. "But why? Why do I get a second chance?" Itachi questioned with a raised brow as the being leaned forward and Itachi looked into that black empty hood and felt a cold breath breezing up against his face. It smelled like death and despair. "Are you death by any chance?" Itachi questioned, as that was the impression he got from this tall, cloaked being that from his bony hand could assume was only a skeleton underneath. Perhaps I am death. I do guide souls like you to a new life while granting you one wish. Or perhaps I'm just something else, some all-powerful being that rules over life and death. But you wanted to know why, correct? The being asked in a deep rough voice and Itachi responded with a nod. "You have done something many people have not been able to do. You set free all those souls and gave them a peaceful rest that they had well deserved and saved the lives of millions. And that is something that must be rewarded? Especially since your actions lead to your brother helping out your friend Naruto to save the world." The being replied, and Itachi widened his eyes on how much time had passed in the shinobi world since he and Sasuke defeated Kabuto and undid the Edo Tensei. What's more, he felt relieved and glad that Sasuke returned to help Naruto. But something still bothered him. "But I have taken so many lives. Why do I deserve a second chance despite my sins?" Itachi questioned with a confused look. "Those lives you took matters not to me. Those lives you took lead to millions of others to survive. It prevented a war that would have led to the end of the shinobi world as we know it. Now let me hear your wish. It could be anything, even powers from your old life that you would not get with you in this one," the being said, and Itachi raised his brow once again in confusion. "Wait, so I don't get to keep my powers unless I wish for them?" Itachi questioned. "Of course, not all worlds contain chakra, but you can't wish for all your powers, that would be too much. You can have one ability, your nature elements, your genjutsu powers, or your Sharingan." The being raised the bony finger once more, symbolizing Itachi's option of picking one power. Having one of my old abilities might be a good idea. The Sharingan seems most useful as it could help me learn things about this new world he's sending me to and what abilities they can offer me." Itachi thought and came to a decision. "Very well. If you could give me my Sharingan, that would be nice. This world I'm sending you to has no chakra, so I will need to give your eyes the ability to get used to magic, as that is the source of this world's power. Your eyes will evolve into the prime state of your Sharingan once you have mastered magic. The more you master magic, the more you will be able to use your Sharingan. Once you master a little of magic, you get the one Tomo state, and it will keep on going like that," the being explained. "So, this magic, is it like chakra? Will it be difficult to master?" Itachi questioned. "Magic is very different from chakra, so it might be difficult for you to learn at first. But considering how much of a prodigy you are, I'm sure it won't be that much of a difficulty for you. And to make sure you don't go blind, I will give you your brother's old eyes. That way the prime state you can reach of your Sharingan will be eternal Manjikyu state." I will also allow you to keep the Totsuka blade and the Yata mirror, they seem attached to you after all. The hooded being said and formed a dark vortex in his bony hands. Excuse me, but why couldn't you just send me back to the shinobi world? Why is it needed for me to go to a new world? Itachi questioned as he wasn't sure this was worth all the trouble. That would cause too much of a panic and confusion. It would be for the best to reincarnate you into a new world. The being replied while the vortex glowed. Excuse me, but what are you doing? Itachi questioned looking at the vortex. Looking for whomever is going through childbirth in this world. I can guarantee that you might think that you actually deserve this fate. I think actually those who don't know the truth about you thinks this is where you would end up when you died. The being actually chuckled a little and looked slightly amused. Thank you for everything you have done. Itachi bowed his head in respect. You're welcome. Now go. The being reached out his bony finger and poked Itachi's forehead. Itachi felt that his body had shrunk, and he was curled up into a ball. The next moment it felt like he was in a tight space. The walls were soft and he could feel that everything around him was wet. He couldn't open his eyes, but he easily reached the conclusion that he was in his new mother's womb. He also felt another foot pushing up against him. He wasn't alone in the womb. He was going to have a twin sibling. Suddenly all the water around them was released and the process of childbirth began. Itachi forced his eyes open to see an opening and that it was closer to him. He crawled towards the opening as he and his twin were also pushed out. He was greeted by a man in white whom was the doctor that pulled him out. It's a boy, the doctor said and tucked Itachi inside a blanket and handed him to the nurse. Okay, here comes the second one, the doctor said, and it took just a minuet until his twin was out. It's a girl. The doctor then tucked Itachi's new twin sister into a blanket as well and handed her to the nurse. Itachi looked at his newborn twin sister that was crying just as what you would expect from a newborn baby, while Itachi didn't cry at all. Then again, he was conscious about what was happening and knew full well what was going on. The nurse then handed them to a woman with long black hair and blue eyes whom looked a little weak due to childbirth. Here you go, Lady Sitri, the nurse said and handed them over to their mother. His mother looked at him and his sister with a warm loving smile that brought a smile to Itachi's face. Next to the bed of his mother was a man with short black hair and violet eyes. He also had a goatee. He was dressed in some fancy clothing that showed to what Itachi understood that his new parents were nobles of some kind. He also remembered about what the being said that where he would end up would be where people would think he would end up. He still didn't understand what he meant by that, but then he looked out the window and saw something he couldn't believe. The sky was dark purple and not blue. Is this just how the sky always looks in this new world? Or does it mean something else? Itachi thought. But then he saw a man with devil-like bat wings fly by the window along with a few other people with the same type of wings. What kind of world is this? My new son and daughter, they look so beautiful, their mother said with warm motherly loving smile as embraced both her children in a gentle hug. My first son, and my second daughter, they're wonderful, his father said with a loving smile as he leant in closer to them. So, this means me and my twin sister have an older sister as well? Itachi thought as he was a little happy over having gained such a loving family. What should we name them? Lord Sitri asked. Are we still going to name the girl Sona? Of course, that's what we discussed anyway, Lady Sitri said. Then what about our son? What should we name him? Lord Sitri questioned. I kind of like the names Kai, Jean and Itachi. Which one do you like the best, honey? Lady Sitri asked and Itachi widened his eyes that his own original name was mentioned. I don't know, they're all good, but it seems the little guy reacted to Itachi, and I kind of like the sound of it too. Lord Sitri and gently poked Itachi's cheek. Itachi it is then. Itachi Sitri. Lady Sitri smiled upon him and then looked over to his sister. And Sona Sitri. Our little cute devils. Devils? What kind of parents says cute little devils to their children? Itachi thought and put the pieces together. I'm a devil now, aren't I? And this is hell, or the underworld. That would explain what that being said about some may think I deserve ending up here. Yet if my family are devils, they still feel so loving like any parent. Itachi thought, and he knew not to judge people based on what other thinks of them and decided to go, where are my cute adorable little siblings? A young beautiful woman with long black hair tied into twin tails. She had violet eyes, and she was dressed in a pink magical girl outfit, although not that Itachi knew what that outfit was. And despite her being a little too short, she had a set of bouncing breasts that were bigger than their mother's and one of the biggest Itachi has seen. Not that he cared. She leaped through the door and skidded face down towards the hospital bed that their mother was lying on. The magical girl looked up with a red mark on her face and a teary face. Are you all right, dear? Lady Sitri asked. Yes, Mom. Is that them? They're so cute and adorable. Kia. The girl instantly recovered and leant over baby Itachi and Sona while looking at them with shiny eyes and a loving smile. What's their names? The boy is named Itachi and the girl is named Sona. Lord Sitri replied. Ah, Itan and Sotan then. I'm your Wani-san. I'm Seraphal Wani-san. The magical girl known as Seraphal said in a joyous tone. Although Itachi's sweat dropped at his new older sister's tone, and he gave her a look that said seriously? You? And this look didn't go unnoticed by Seraphal, whom gained tears in her eyes. Wah, Itan doesn't like me. This made Itachi's sweat drop even more as his parents chuckled nervously. Itachi then grabbed onto Seraphal's right side twin tail and lightly pulled on it, gaining his older sister's attention. She looked at him still with tears in her eyes. Itachi let go of her hair and grabbed onto her right index finger. He tried to muster out a word, although due this undeveloped body, it was a little difficult, but he managed to utter one word. One each one, Itachi uttered, although he couldn't get the word quite right. His parents, Seraphal. The doctor and the nurse were shocked that a newborn baby was able to already say its first word. Itachi started to wish that he had never said anything, and Sona was once again crying next to him. Why do I feel like this is going to be troublesome? Itachi thought and let out an inwardly sigh. With it, who's the oldest one of them? Seraphal asked as if it was very important. That would be your new little brother. Lady Sitri said. So, is going to take over as the head of the Sitri family now? Seraphal said and looked down on Itachi. Good luck, Itan. Sorry that Wani-chan can't do it. So, have you officially become one of the four Mao now? Their father, Lord Sitri, asked Seraphal. I have the title of Leviathan now. So, that means I have lost my right to take over as family head. Looks like it will be Itan's job now. Seraphal said and looked at Itachi with a beaming smile. Mao, Leviathan? Did Wani-san take on an important duty that makes her unable to become clan head? So, once again I'm given an important role in an important family. I just hope it doesn't end up being like the Uchiha clan. Itachi thought. Not that he hated the Uchiha clan and his old family or anything. He looked over to Sona, whom had fallen fast asleep. Now that Itachi thinks about it, he does feel a little tired as well. He let out a yawn and closed his eyes and fell into a deep sleep. Ah, they're both so cute when they are sleeping. Picture time. Seraphal beamed and brought out a camera and took a group photo with her and her sleeping siblings and parents in the background. Time skip, 4 years later. In the Sitri castle deep inside of a library sat the next heir of the Sitri family, Itachi Sitri. He had short black hair and black eyes unlike anyone in his family, and thanks to his noble status he was dressed in very noble-like clothing, which he didn't really want but his parents insisted on it anyway. He wore a black long-sleeved shirt with gold lines decorated around his wrists, his collar and the zipper line. It had 4 golden buttons on each side that was connected by a golden yellow thread, and on his right chest was a circle with the Sitri clan blue emblem in it. He also wore gray jeans and black shoes. Itachi was doing something he had been waiting for years to being able to do: read and learn about magic. He had discovered a lot of his own abilities. He has the ability of flight now that he is a devil. He can grow bat-like wings out from his back. His strength, speed and stamina had all been boosted compared to when he was a human at his current age. And back in his old life when he was 5 he had once managed to smash a boulder into pieces during the 9 Tails attack of the hidden leaf with just his fist infused with chakra. Now he could do it without the chakra. The Sitri family has also been known for using water-based magic, which Itachi has been able to learn. Although magic and chakra were so different that he had a difficult time learning at first. And his older sister Seraphal was an exception as she uses ice-based magic. That is, she used to be an exception. Itachi had discovered that he was also able to use ice-based magic as once he made some ice cubes for his drink. It wasn't very impressive, but at least he found out that he could learn using ice magic as well. He could also use fire-based magic to some degree. Better than ice for now at least. And lightning-based magic as well. And again only to some degree. So far, the only thing he could use for combat out of his magic elements was water. His parents had been amazed at how easy learning things came for Itachi, and how advanced he was already in learning how to use magic. Right now Itachi was trying to master teleportation magic with a magic circle, although he failed at it. Looks like he needed more practice. When it came to his Sharingan, however, it seems he could only use the Nun-Tomo state for now, as his eyes would turn red with a black dot in the center and a black circle around it. He would need to learn more about magic if he ever were to once again gain the true power of the Sharingan. Itachi had also been homeschooled along with Sona, as their parents hired in a special tutor. And Itachi grasped every subject quite easily, and so did Sona. Not as much as Itachi, but she was pretty good herself. Then again, Itachi did have the advantage as he had a lot of knowledge from his old life. The tutor had been amazed on how Itachi later had asked for higher levels of each of his subjects, and he had easily grasped them as well. Everyone soon came to be aware that Itachi was no ordinary child and that he was a prodigy in not just with school subjects but with magic as well. Out of all the subjects he had, his favorite was history. He was intrigued by learning of the underworld and the human world's history. He had learned the reason why Serafal couldn't be head of the family anymore and why the duty fell on him. Since Serafal is one of the 4 great Satans or Maos, she had to give up on her right to heir the Sitri family. The 4 great Satans were from what Itachi understood like Kages. He had also that there is a conflict going on between the current Mao faction and the old one, which consists of blood relatives and followers of the previous original 4 great Satans, whom all died during the last war between devils, angels and fallen angels, the 3 factions as they were called. Itachi was still depressed over the fact that war raged on in this world as well. Although he never understood why the 3 factions never waged war against the humans. Were they simply not considered a threat? One thing Itachi was certain of was that he could pursue his dream of ending all conflict by becoming the strongest. He wanted to bring peace between the 3 factions and put an end to all conflict. This has been his dream since back when his old father Fugaku took a 4-year-old Itachi with him to a battlefield during the 3rd Great Ninja War. He still remembers the ocean of bodies scattered across the field, stains and pools of blood from comrades and foes alike, the smell of fire and burned corpses. These memories haunted him forever and still does, but not as much as the Uchiha clan massacre. The screams, the blood on his face, sword in hands, the horrified looks of men, women, the old and the young, and the salty tears he cried after all of it. Conflict was what led to all these horrific events in Itachi's life, which is why he was more motivated than ever to put an end to all conflict by becoming stronger. Oni-sama, a little young girl about Itachi's age with short black hair that was cut into a bob cut. She had violet eyes like father and Serafal, and wore a pair of glasses. She was dressed in a white blouse and a dark purple skirt. This was his younger twin, Sona Sitri. I want to play. Itachi smiled and closed his book and put it back in a shelf. Okay, Sona, what do you want to play? Another thing Itachi had taken into consideration was spending more time with his younger sibling and make sure not to make the same mistakes he did with Sasuke. No more would he ignore his younger sibling's plea of playing or training unless he had something extremely important to do. Hide and seek. Sona beamed with a smile filled with a child's innocence, something Itachi hadn't seen since Sasuke was a kid. Okay, I will count and you will go and hide, Itachi said with a smile as he placed his hands over his face and faced the wall, and he began counting. When he looked up again, Sona was nowhere to be seen. She's still in the library somewhere. I can sense her. Well, let's go and look then, Itachi muttered to himself and began searching. After looking through various hiding spots, Itachi spotted the tip of Sona's shoe sticking out from underneath a desk. Itachi then looked underneath the desk and saw a shocked Sona, whom was surprised Itachi found her already. Found you. She's getting closer, Itachi thought, and purposely stuck out the tip of his shoe for Sona to see. Ah, I found you, Oni-sama, Sona said while jumping around happily. You sure did, Sona. Good job. Itachi praised and patted her head, to which she gained a small happy smile. Again, Sona said, and they kept on playing for almost 2 hours until Sona got tired and fell asleep in her hiding spot. Itachi was now piggyback carrying a sleeping Sona back to her room. He looked at her sleeping face from the corner of his eye with a smile on his face. She was just as old as Itachi but was much more childish, as Itachi in his mind was actually way older. And even though he wasn't nearly as old as his older sister Serafal, he was still far more mature than her. The lack of Itachi acting like a child sometimes worried his parents, but they would be freed from their worries whenever he played around with Sona. Itachi had arrived with Sona to her room. He gently placed her on her bed and tucked her in. Normally the maids would be doing these kinds of things, but Itachi always insisted on doing it himself whenever he was free. Once Itachi walked out of Sona's room, he once again began focusing on making a magic circle to teleport him to his bedroom. He took a deep breath and raised his right hand as a blue magic circle formed beneath his feet. He kept his concentration and then he vanished in a flash of light. 2 maids had walked by to witness this. Oh my, looks like the young master has mastered teleportation, the first maid said. Indeed, I can sense him now in his own bedroom. He's quite talented for his age, the second maid said. Inside a plain room with a very large bed, a large mirror, a toy box filled with toys that Itachi would only play with to ease his parents' minds, and a few anime posters of ninjas, as he found the way these shows interpreted the ways of a shinobi to be quite intriguing. Itachi walked up to the mirror as his black eyes turned red with now one black tomo in them, a black dot in the center and a black circle line that the tomo was connected to circling around the dot. One step closer, Itachi thought with a stern expression. The next day Itachi and Sona stood with their parents, whom had informed that an old family friend, Lord Gremory of the Gremory family, that was one of the great pillars like the Sitri family and one of the few pure-blooded devil families left since the last war, was coming over for a visit with his daughter that was just as old as Itachi and Sona apparently, and like Itachi was the heir to their family as their elder siblings had become Mao. He hadn't gotten much information about this girl, other than her age and that her name is Rias Gremory, and that her older brother is the Mao Surzex Lucifer, like how Itachi and Sona's older sister is the Mao Seraphal Leviathan. Sona seemed a little nervous yet also excited in meeting a possible new friend, while Itachi remained with his stoic emotionless expression. It will be good for Sona to have a female friend her own age, Itachi thought as the doors opened. And that's it for now. So, how was the first chapter? Hope you enjoyed it. If you do, subscribe for more content like this. Until next time, fellas.